Well, I think the first time you think about when I was growing up, I remember the first thing that ever happened to me. I was about 4 years old. We lived on this Air Force base temporarily when we moved to Oakland, California, and with my cousins, and my uncle was in the Air Force. And I remember one time I was playing by myself. There was this big puddle. I was playing with, you play with toys inside the water like you're playing in a big lake or whatever the puddle's supposed to represent. And I remember these 4 white kids came up to me, about 4 of them, of varying ages, but they're range, I would say, about 7 or 8 years old. And I remember them calling me a word I never heard before, a nigger. And I'll never forget that because I know what it meant. And I just remember they pushed me around and threw me into the puddle. And the puddle was one of those puddles that sit around for a long time where you actually had like maybe moss growing in it and stuff like that. It was pretty disgusting. Stagnant water and everything else had a smell to it. But I just remember that was the first time I ever felt different than someone else. But I think what the problem is when I think about now as a professional person, being a teacher in the New York City school system, and seeing how the breakdown of education is happening, and how they're trying to change teaching methods and things like that to compensate or to overcompensate the lacking of what they really need to do is inputting in schools is better educational, I should say offer more educational, more varied subjects like they used to have when I was growing up. Well, for example, a lot of the schools today, most of the schools in New York City don't have shop classes, don't have vocational training type programs. They don't keep the kids interested in school in another dimension other than just basically the 4 major subjects. And the kids don't have a way of learning differently than just what's in books. And the other thing is that they try to overcompensate because they've gotten rid of programs like special ed programs. Kids who learn differently, kids who learn in small environments, and those things have been taken away, and those same kids are being thrown into classrooms with 30 kids in it, 33 kids of different disciplines, and somehow the teacher is supposed to navigate all this and teach a lesson in 45 minutes that in the past would have reached the kids, and if those kids were in classes that they could be that support their needs and services, they would also get the subject too. But those have been stripped away mainly because of cutbacks in education. And people will say, the argument always is, well, we're putting a lot of money into education, but per capita we're not. And the other thing is that what we're doing is we don't say what the real dirty words are. Main thing is that we have rich people not paying taxes. We have corporations going along not paying taxes for over a decade. We have put privatized prisons in place throughout the states of America, and those privatized prisons are often taking the resources that would normally go to schools, and the housing programs are dismal. So all these things factor in, and also Job Corps programs and job training programs, things that would help the parents out, family planning programs, all types of different things that have been taken away and stripped away from the social network that makes schools work better. And this would help. This is discrimination in a bigger sense rather than just a small, I don't like this guy, or you can't live in my building kind of stuff. It's systematic and is actually, I think, getting worse rather than better.